Okay, well, thank you for joining us. My name is Liz Dysart, and I am with the Crawford team at VIP Mortgage. I do business development for our team. And what that really means is that I help our agent partners grow their business. So my job is to specialize in marketing trends, social media strategy, and lots of other things like farming, marketing, lead gen, CRMs, all of that to help our agent partners do more business. And so I stay up on all the latest trends. I attend Inman every year to really learn about how to help agents. And social media is a thing that obviously is a very hot topic. It has been for a couple of years. And a lot of our agent partners have been able to really grow their business organically using social media. So I put together this course to kind of go over some of those best practices. But I put this class together before COVID. So everything has changed a lot. And we're going to dive into how it's changed during COVID, what we're seeing as far as trends that are happening. And then also we'll kind of go after all of what's happening during COVID. We're going to go through all of the normal stuff that I cover in my social media classes, which platforms, what type of content, how often, and all of that. So let's dive in. I'm hoping to get this all done in an hour. And I will send you guys some notes after this too. So if I fly through the slides, you can get more to reference later. All right, so let's see here. Why social media? And I know if you're on this call, you probably already know why, but social media is a really great strategy to build trust and relevancy with your past and future clients, and it's free. It's a free online advertising platform that allows you to really be yourself and connect organically with people who have similar interests or who really appreciate the content that you're putting out. So in my opinion, it is the best free marketing that there is besides open houses. And with that though, I do find a lot of agents are spending a lot of time doing the wrong things with social media. And I'm going to touch on what those are in a minute, or I guess later down the class. But that's one thing I think that's really important is with social media for real estate, if you're using it to build your real estate business, you have to really identify what your goals are with social media. Is it a certain number of likes? Is it more followers? Or is it engagement? And really what I have found, and with all of the agents that I've coached and worked with over the years, is that engagement is really the only thing that's trackable on social media and quantifiable. And they're able to track, how many engagements lead to a lead or whatever. So ultimately, I feel like if you're going to be spending a lot of time on social media for your real estate business, the goal should be to generate leads or at least build stronger relationships with your database that can lead to future referrals. But it shouldn't be a social platform if you are using it for business, if that makes sense. So the goals that I think most agents have and what we're going to touch on today are how to build your brand, how to connect with people on social media in a really organic and authentic way, how to promote your service as a real estate agent without sounding super salesy, and then ultimately how to convert those people to customers or leads, like I mentioned just a minute ago. So the first thing we're going to dive into is how COVID has affected social media use. And obviously, COVID has flipped the world upside down. It's put a lot of industries at a screeching halt, and it's affected everyone. So there have been a lot of very negative changes with COVID. But one thing that we do know is that it has significantly increased the amount of time people are spending on social media because they're home and they're bored and they have nothing else to do. And a lot of people are feeling, lonely and isolated. And so social media is a way for them to still feel connected to friends and family, the community, to comedy, to media, whatever it is, from their home. So some stats that I found today that were pretty staggering is that the time spent in apps increased 20% year over year in Q1. And that's in all apps overall, gaming, non-gaming, as you see in the first chart. But as you see in the second chart, if you take the non-gaming apps out of the equation, the gaming apps out of the equation and just look at non-gaming apps, which are considered more social platforms, that's up 20%. And if you look in the US, it's up, even more than that. In Italy, 30%, Germany, 10%, France, 15%, UK, 5%, and US, 10%. So, significant use used in the US on non-gaming apps due to COVID. Another thing I thought was super interesting, consumer spending through apps is up 15% for for iOS, 5% for Android. And we set a new record for in-app spending in a single quarter at $23 billion. So that one was shocking to me. Amidst all this financial crisis that we've been having worldwide, people are still spending money buying things through apps. So I guess online retailers are doing something right with that. But I thought, so really 20% year over year more usage on apps like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of those. And we'll see what those are in just a second. So pretty staggering increase due to COVID. 20% is what we're seeing. So these are the changes of Q1 of 2020 this year versus last year in app usage and downloads. So in the first column, it shows apps, the downloads. So which apps are being downloaded the most. So top 4, TikTok is number 1. I think TikTok, all of the challenges that have been happening with TikTok, I know I see those going through my feed every day. People are bored at home and they have time to put together a fun little dance to a TikTok video. So we're seeing a lot of that. Number 2, WhatsApp Messenger is another messaging platform that is up a spot. Facebook is number 3, that's down 1 spot. Instagram is number 4, that's up a spot from this time last year. Facebook Messenger is number 5, down a spot. Likey wasn't even on it last year, and that's a new one. It was, more European app that's moved into Western cultures really this year in 2020. Followed by Snapchat, Share It, Netflix, and Spotify. So those are the 10 top most downloaded apps in Q1 of 2020. The second column shows consumer spend. So of that $23 billion I just talked about, where are people spending money? Money and time. So those are the lists there. Tinder, YouTube, Netflix, IQ, I don't even know what that is. Tencent Video, TikTok, Disney, Google One, Pandora Music, and Line Manga. So that rounds out the top 10 for consumer spend as far as time and money that they're spending in apps. And then the third column is the top 10 for monthly active users. So number 1 is Facebook. Number 2 is WhatsApp. Number 3 is Facebook Messenger. Number 4 is WeChat. Number 5 is Instagram, followed by TikTok, Alipay, Kwai, Pinduoduo, and Taobao. And keep in mind, this is worldwide. So a lot of these apps are not apps that are really prevalent in the US, as you can see by some of the Chinese ones at the bottom of the list. I see a question popped into chat, so I'm going to look at that really quickly. Michelle said IQIYI is stocks, I believe. That would make sense. So thanks for sharing, Michelle. Okay, next one is just some basics about COVID-19 social media usage changes. So across all industries and networks, the number of posts sent per day remained about the same on average. So what that means is the number of posts that companies or individuals are putting out is about the same from, during COVID to before COVID. Now that surprised me. I thought that would be up. But if you take a look here, that's because some industries are way up and some industries are way down. As you see, the industries that increased are healthcare, media, entertainment. Those are the top 3 that have increased the number of posts during this crisis. And industries that have decreased are travel and tourism, sports, retail, consumer goods, and education. Let's see. So yeah, that makes sense. Obviously, travel and tourism is down worldwide as a lot of travel bans have been put in place. Sports are all canceled. Retail stores are closed. A lot of consumer goods are obviously not selling as well because a lot of people have lost jobs, filed for unemployment, applied for forbearance, so they're not spending as much money. And then education, lastly, makes sense. Schools are closed everywhere. So those industries have decreased the amount that they're posting, and healthcare, media, and entertainment have really increased the amount that they're posting due to consumer demand. And then the last thing I thought that was super important is that the usage as far as time of use has completely changed. So before we found, before COVID, nights and weekends, a lot of people were on social media. Those were the great times to post. And nowadays, when everyone's stuck at home, we're finding it's almost the opposite. So during the day, during actual normal work hours, are when we're seeing the most engagement across all social media platforms. I'm going to show you some slides in a minute that break it down by platform. But weekends and weekdays after 5 p.m. for Facebook or 6 p.m. for Instagram showed a significant drop off in usage and engagement, as obviously remote workers are juggling a variety of home and family needs. So they're during the day, they're checking social media a lot more. At night, they're having to really be home with their family or do things like that. Or for those that don't have families at home, maybe they did it all during the day and at night they're curled up on their couch watching Netflix or something. So, but that definitely changed, from pre-COVID use. Here's a couple charts that I showed. I talked about this a little bit ago, but changes to number of posts per day by industry. So as I said, media and entertainment is up a lot. Healthcare is up and consumer goods are down. Retail is down. Travel and tourism is down. Sports is way down. So that is, with all of those, it's still equal across the number of posts if you average it out, but per industry, it definitely varies. And then the one below that is engagement. So although the number of posts has stayed the same, there has been a huge change in engagement to the posts. And what we have seen is there is way more engagement during COVID than there was prior. So the average company receives 44 more engagements received per day across all networks and industries. So that's a lot more engagement. And this is also companies and individuals, keep in mind as well. And then the second stat shows 7.3 more engagements per post per day on average across all networks and industries. And I would bet that if you broke it down by industry, you'd see a little bit of fluctuation like you did above with the different industry types. Sports and travel probably aren't getting as much engagement as media, entertainment, healthcare are right now because that's where all the eyeballs are, but still definitely a lot more engagement across the board. This now was something I really wanted to touch on because I thought this was important for you guys. So while engagement went up, so overall how much people are engaging with posts went up, incoming messages to brands actually decreased by 19 messages per day across all networks. And I was shocked to see that. But this, is real. I found all this data from Sprout Social, by the way. They're who I follow for a lot of social media data. They track everything by platform, by time, all that. So they're the best that I found as far as stats for social media. But with that, so Facebook comments decreased by 5.6 per day. Facebook private messages decreased by 2.1 per day. Twitter messages decreased by 16 per day. And Twitter retweets decreased by 20.8 per day. So I was shocked that, messages were decreasing even though engagement was going up. But the bottom one, Instagram showed the only increase in incoming messages with an average increase of 6.4 comments per day. So vastly different than the other platforms. And why, there's some speculation as to why that is. So Facebook and Twitter, they say people are primarily going there for news, to stay in touch with friends. They're not connecting with brands as much right now, where Instagram, people are really flocking to Instagram as the most social platform right now. So DMs are up, as you see, 6.4 comments per day, because that's where people are spending a lot of time due to stories mostly, which results in comments. And, overall the different changes that Instagram have added and features that they've added to their stories, like the polls, the challenges, the questions, the geotagging, all that stuff results in a lot more engagement through Instagram. Now, the other question is, when to post, and I touched on this a bit, that people are on social media platforms mostly during work hours, but when is the best time to post? So according to Sprott Social, these are the best times right now that they've tracked so far. So the best times to post on Facebook are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. They said that the peak every day of the week for usage is about 11 a.m. daily. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to 11 would be the best time to post on Facebook. Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at 11 and Tuesday at 2 are the best times to post on Instagram. The current best time to post on Twitter is Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. And the current best times for LinkedIn are Wednesday at 3, Thursday between 9 and 10, and Friday from 11 to noon. So I have a little chart here that kind of visually shows you those. And I can send you all this as well if you're frantically trying to write those down. But as you see here, I was pretty shocked at the consistency between Facebook and Instagram. It makes sense though, as obviously Facebook owns Instagram. But 11 a.m. is really when peak usage happens. So ultimately, it makes sense that you want to post prior to the peak usage time so that your post gets immediate organic traction. So that's why they would recommend those times. You see the larger blocks are the times to post, and the smaller blocks are the largest engagement times. So really, as you see, Facebook, Instagram are very similar. Twitter is earlier in the morning on Fridays, which was surprising to me. And LinkedIn is kind of all over the board. But if you think about who uses LinkedIn, it's a different demographic than people who traditionally use Facebook and Instagram. LinkedIn, we've had millions and millions of people file for unemployment during COVID-19, which is so unfortunate. But what do you think those people are doing on LinkedIn? They're updating their bios and profiles. They're looking for jobs. They're trying to connect with people. So it's a different type of usage than what we're seeing on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All right, so that's kind of my COVID update with social media. And now I'm gonna go into all my basic stuff about really how to effectively use social media for your real estate business. So if anybody has any COVID specific questions, feel free to type them into chat right now and I'll take a look. And I'll wait a minute to see if anybody has any. I hope that was great information for you guys. And again, I can send those times out later as far as best times to post. But otherwise, I'm gonna go ahead and move on if I don't see any chats. Okay, I see one. How do you post a link so it doesn't appear like an attachment? So that question, I don't know which platform you're thinking about. On Instagram, you can't post a link. You can put a link in your bio. You can only have one link in your bio unless you use a link tree, which opens up like a menu of links to different places. You can have up to 5 links on Linktree for free. That's what I recommend for Instagram pages, is using a link tree in your profile to direct people to multiple different landing pages or sites that you have. Facebook, you can't. The only way that I know of to do it is, and what I would encourage you to do, is never post a link in the actual post. Add it as a comment after the post. It will still display as an attachment, but it won't affect your engagement as negatively as put in the actual post, if that makes sense. Patrick's saying, what about YouTube? Not really considered a social platform. So Patrick, really great question. Yeah, all of the stuff that I found didn't have any stats about YouTube right now, which is shocking to me because I know I have kids at home doing online school and we're using YouTube more than we've ever had for all of these, watching books and videos and things, science experiments. So I don't know why they're not considering YouTube a social platform. I would think that it absolutely would be, but because there is less direct user contact, maybe that's why. I don't know. But it was on this slide. If I go back as far as downloads, actually, no, is it not even on here? Oh yeah, so it is so great question, Patrick. So YouTube is the number 2 place people are spending time right now. But I guess, yeah, it's just really not considered. It's not a new downloaded one, and it's not as high on monthly active users, which is shocking to me, but hope that answers your question. All right, so now we're going to go on to just basic info about how to use social media in your real estate business to be the most effective. So here is what I recommend. I get this question all the time. Which platform should I be on? And this is a very loaded question. So when agents ask me that question, I ask them, honestly, how much do you use social media? How active are you? I kind of get, a basic idea of where they're at. And I ask them, how much time do you want to spend on social media? Because those are two very different questions usually. And if the amount of time they want to spend is 30 minutes or less, I would recommend, one, maybe two platforms. If it's 30 minutes or more, you can add a third, and this is per day. But really, what I find all the time is that agents think that they have to be on every platform. And what ultimately happens is then they don't use any of them effectively because they're splitting their time between all the platforms, and really, which drives down your engagement score if you're not really active on the platforms. So the better bet is to pick one. If you're limited on time, you really don't like social media, I would pick one platform and go all in. If you're pretty savvy with social media, pick two platforms and go all in. And if you really want to go all out this year, I would add a third platform. I think more than that gets really difficult to manage. And it makes your content really not good. It gets watered down or not frequent enough to really build the organic following that you need. So the ones that I would recommend: Facebook, yes; Instagram, yes; LinkedIn, yes. And that's if you're doing three and you really want to ramp up your social media. If you're going to cut one out, I would cut out LinkedIn and do Facebook and Instagram. If you're only going to do one right now, I would probably ask you, what demographic are you looking for? Who are your ideal clients? Depending on what your answer is, which generation of people you're looking for. If you are trying to go after millennials, you need to be on Instagram. If you mostly work with, move down buyers who, their kids have moved out of the house and they're looking for a smaller golf community place, I would recommend that you be on Facebook. So this isn't a one size fits all answer is what I'm getting at, but those are the ones that I would highly recommend as the most effective for building your real estate business. Now, the first one we're going to talk about, as I said, which I think is the number one to be on right now, is Instagram. And the reason why I feel like it's the number one to be on, has by far the highest engagement rate of any social platform right now. As we saw on this slide, it is the only one. I mean, Facebook comments have decreased by 5 a day. Instagram comments have increased by 6 a day. So as far as engagement goes, it's light years in front of the others. And the reason why, as I mentioned, is Instagram stories and IGTV, which encourages a tremendous amount of engagement due to all of the buttons and stickers that they allow you to put in your stories in IGTV. Now, I get this question all the time though. Do I need a personal profile or a business profile? And with this, I'm talking about specifically Instagram. We'll get into Facebook business versus personal in a minute. But right now for Instagram, I get that question from agents all the time. Should I have a personal or a business? My question is, what are you using it for? Are you trying to use it to build your real estate business? If so, then you need a business profile. But if you're going to use a business profile, I would say you need to be really cautious about what you're posting. I encourage you to post personal information. Even if it's a business profile, you need to highlight some of, your authentic features, things that you're into, who you are as a person. You'll connect with more people that way. However, you should not be sharing your private information. And by that, I mean bikini selfies on the beach or, out with your buddies having a bunch of beers. Those are not things that should be on a business profile. So I always ask agents that question because sometimes they have a hard time understanding which one is better for them. But again, if you are ultimately trying to track your metrics on Instagram to get leads, the business profile allows for much more visibility for that. It allows Instagram insights. You can do ads, you can do promoted posts, you have a contact button, you can add links to your Instagram stories. There's a lot more features and functionality with a business profile. However, another thing about the business profile is that it's public. It's not private. Anybody who searches you on Instagram will be able to see everything you post. They don't even have to follow you. So it depends on, again, if you're a person that likes to have your personal information out there for the public to see or not. This little chart on the right I really like because it is a really basic, should you use a business profile or not? The questions here are, do you have 10,000 followers? Most real estate agents don't, but then it goes here to, do you use Instagram for marketing? Yes. Would you ever run ads? If you ever would run ads, then yes, switch to an Instagram business account. Otherwise, if you're really not going to do ads, if you are really not pushing people to your website through Instagram, you may be okay with a personal profile. So any questions after that, chat me later. But the one thing I really do love about the Instagram business profile is the analytics that it offers. It offers much more visibility than what a personal profile does. It allows you to see where your followers live. And ideally, if we're trying to do real estate business in Arizona, we want our followers to be local. So it'll show you where they are. It'll also show you when your followers are on Instagram, which is super important. Why do we care about that? That tells us when we should be posting. So it shows per day what times they're active. Visually, you can see at the bottom left side there. It also shows which days of the week they're most active. It tells you their average gender and age, their location, and all that kind of stuff. So the analytics are gold on Instagram. If you know who is following you as far as their gender and age, and you know when they're on, which days and which times, that really helps you craft a strategy for your posting to cater to your followers, which ultimately will result in better engagement. Instagram stories are the #1 place that most of my agent partners are getting leads right now. They are using Instagram stories daily, and that's really what it takes in order to get leads, I think, from Instagram, is that you have to do them very consistently, and you have to have multiple story cards in a day. And if you don't know what I mean, I'll kind of just give a bit overview on what Instagram stories are. So when you log into Instagram, the very top, you see these little circles with the colors around them, the colored rainbow circle. Those are people that have posted stories. And if you click on them, what it is it's they're engaging, usually photos or videos that have other things added to them. But it's a mix of fun, lighthearted content, promotional contents in there too, as far as advertisers who have paid Instagram to advertise to you. Those are also mixed in there. But what's great about stories is it takes the captions away below the posts, right? A lot of times the beauty of Instagram and why a lot of people flock to it is it was just fun to scroll through the pretty pictures. And once they added more room in the captions for people to write longer copy, it lost a little bit of appeal, in my opinion, because that's really not what it was for. That's what Facebook was for. So what stories did is it takes the captions really out and it's back to the photos again. And it allows you to really quickly tap to scroll through everyone's really quickly. And so you can either tap to go to the next story card or swipe to go to the next person's story. But I can spend 5 minutes on Instagram stories and really catch up on all of my friends' stuff without having to scroll for 30 minutes. I feel like it's 5 times as effective as scrolling through posts. And what I have found in research is that 1 in 4 Instagram story cards should result in a DM. All of my agents that are using it effectively for real estate are seeing those kind of results. And the other great thing about Instagram stories is it allows you to see who has viewed the story. So that's a great opportunity if you are posting real estate content to then send all those people a direct message saying, what did you think of this post? Do you have any questions? What did you think of that house? Do you have any, market questions I can answer for you, whatever it is. But it allows you then to try to get a DM going, direct message, to encourage dialogue to build that relationship. In additional things that Instagram stories allow is you can use location and hashtag stickers to increase your discoverability. And what that means is if you have a public profile and you're hashtagging or geotagging in your stories, when people hit the little search button or the little magnifying glass here at the bottom of their Instagram thing, that's the discover page, and that shows them things around them. And if they search a specific location or hashtag, your post might just show up there for them, or your story. And with that, that's a way that you can increase your organic followers. For businesses, if you have a business profile, you can use links in your Instagram stories. You can tag other accounts in your Instagram stories if you have a business profile. and you can share polls in your Instagram stories if you have a business profile. So all ways to really increase your engagement on Instagram. Instagram, other things I really recommend are personalize your graphics. Make sure that it kind of has a consistent look and feel and tone when people look at your wall. It doesn't have to be this personalized where everything's the same color. But I do think that it should have a similar look. So if you're posting mostly photos, put the same filter on every photo. And I'm not talking about crazy editing. I'm just talking about utilizing the filters that Instagram already offers to you, where it's a one button post, really easy. But what it does is it helps create a visually appealing brand for you, without you really having to do a lot of work. You can also create personalized things for yourself. If you're going to do quotes or market information or whatever, using a tool like Canva or Snappa, you can create custom content for yourself that has your logo on there or your color scheme or your specific font or whatever it is. It's all very easy to do, and that helps build a beautiful brand on Instagram. Hashtags, most people already know about this right now, but really they are a part of social conversation, and they're really essential on Twitter and Instagram both. They do help extend your reach and engagement. As I mentioned, they can start a conversation between you and your new followers. The thing that I would recommend is to use a bunch of them, use local ones, use branded ones for yourself or your real estate business or your brokerage or, whatever it is. And what you can do is you jump on trending topics as well that are trending right now. Like a lot of the challenges and things like that were trending. There's been a ton of fun, like COVID related hashtags that have trended. But those, if you use them in your stories, you can gain followers just by people following that hashtag, especially if it's humorous content or social content is really where those grow well. And then the best tools to find out which hashtags to use are Hashtagify. So if you're trying to create a branded one for yourself or figure out which one would work for, homes in Glendale or whatever, go to Hashtagify and it'll help you come up with the best one based upon usage so far. Sprout Social also has great ideas for the best hashtags. Here's ones to boost visibility. These are some of the most common at the top there. There's some generic real estate hashtags that work pretty well, although what I find is mostly real estate agents use those, so not a lot of consumers necessarily. But where I find agents really hitting it with hashtags is when they have a customized real estate one for themselves, their brand, their team name, their slogan, whatever it is. That's when it can really grow very well. Okay, so that's it on Instagram. I'm going to check chat because I saw we had a few questions, and then we're going to move on to Facebook next. Let's see. What about companies that post to your Facebook or Instagram on your behalf worth the money? Do you have any? So, Tony, that is a great question. I personally do not like any of those companies. So the majority of the ones that do it for you, the auto posting things, Facebook and Instagram know that they're auto posters and that it's not organic content to you because they're using it for lots of different people around the country. So it actually negatively affects your engagement score on Facebook. There are social media kind of experts, consultants, local people that you can hire to handle your social media for you. But those, the auto post companies are going to be anywhere from $20 to $50 a month. A good social media consultant could be like $200, $300, $400, $500 a month to do that for you. So ultimately, I find most agents, it's not worth paying somebody to do it well. They can do it themselves if they really try. Let's see. Yeah, and I'd be happy to send slides to you guys. I have a lot of people chatting in and asking for those, so I'd be happy to send you guys a PDF of these. Okay, so let's talk now about Facebook. And, Facebook ultimately was the original social media platform and was the highest used by most demographics for a long time. It dropped a little bit for a while due to Instagram, but then what happened is once Facebook bought Instagram and it allowed the share option, meaning you can post to Facebook or Instagram and share it to the other platform, what they found is that it was the same on both, right? And I hated that. I would go onto my Instagram and I would go through my wall and I would see all the posts. Then I would go to Facebook and I would see the exact same posts by the exact same people. And what they found is that consumers got really annoyed by that. And so then for a while, Instagram use went down because people went back to Facebook. So now what they've done is they've adjusted the algorithms to basically discourage people from doing that. So basically both platforms are still super effective, but you can't post the exact same content to both. If you're going to post similar, verbiage or a caption, then post a different photo. If you're going to post the same photo, then totally change the caption up, or alternate days or times, space out the time of when you post. But because, since they've changed that, now usage has gone back up at Facebook and Instagram, because they are only showing people the unique content. But really, why Facebook now? Facebook is still the largest social sharing site. It has 1.9 billion unique monthly users. The benefit to businesses, or you guys, is for your real estate business, is you can reach larger audiences and you have access to really cheap advertising platforms through Facebook ads. What to post, we're going to talk all about that. How often, we're going to talk all about that. Fun fact, which we're going to talk all about too, is video gets more shares than all other post types on Facebook by far. And here's the stat on the right that I think is staggering. Facebook generates 8 billion video views on average per day. So what they found is that as people were going to Instagram to look at pretty photos, they were going to Facebook to watch videos. So video use on Facebook content, got so much more engagement because Facebook pushed it out there more because they know that users like that. So what does that tell us? We need to be using video in our real estate business when we post on Facebook, and I'm going to talk about some ideas as we go. Now, this woman from Social Insider, I really love her stuff, and her recommended content ratio is 70% video posts, 20% image posts, and only 10% link posts. So that shows you Facebook favors video. All the social media marketing experts know that. So they say that you really need to be focusing on video content for your posts on Facebook. So you'll see in a minute, video is number one as far as content type for Facebook. Image is number two. I think live is in there as well. And then link posts are number three. What a link post is what somebody asked earlier. When you actually are posting an article that from a website, from a link, it shows up as a little, box, and like an attachment. And those are still, they get good engagement on Facebook, but not as good as video. And we'll talk about that. She also recommends to take full advantage of regular Facebook Live broadcasts. Once a week is great. So what we found is Facebook Live, when it first came out, was so popular. Everyone got crazy engagement rates, but then people started doing it too often and we got bored of it, right? So what she says is do it as part of your social media strategy, but not frequently enough that people are going to go, oh, another one. Oh my gosh, I don't need to watch it. Do it when it's something really cool or exciting that you want to show your followers. So yeah, this is what I was just talking about. So native video is the number one most engaged type of content on Facebook. That means video that you film of yourself with your phone and post directly to Facebook. Number two type of most engagement is a unique photo. Number three is a live video. And number four is a link post. So those are, definitely, as we see, native video is where it's at as far as engagement, followed by organic or unique photos posting as well. But with this, we have to keep in mind again what our goal is with social media. So the goal, I think, for all real estate agents should be to build relationships through engagement. If you're just spending time on there every day and not ever getting any leads out of it, really, how is it for your business? Don't pretend that it is. Pretend that it's a social platform for you, that you connect with your friends and family, and that's okay. But if you want to use it for your real estate business, you need to make sure you're encouraging and driving engagement through your posts. So here's an example, and this is a question that I always ask people. Do you want to sell this one house, or do you want to get 2 new clients who will also refer you to their friends? So when we think about it, a lot of us want to post our, listings and our open houses and things like that. The majority of your consumers and your followers don't really care about that type of content. They want to see content about you or social content or funny content. So keep in mind when you post always what your goal is, and your goal is to build relationships, not to sell houses. And if you do that and have that in mind as your social media content strategy, you will have such a better engagement rate with people who actually like your content, want to follow your content, and spend time, engaging with your content. So that's what we want. Here's an example. The first post on the left is, new listing, blah, 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 about the house, right? 0 likes, 0 comments, 0 shares. The second post is about the couple. Again, so storytelling, connecting with people is super important. Storytelling is one of the biggest things right now in marketing. So it now is not about the house that they bought, that she sold, right, as the agent. It's about the couple that she helped. This one got 42 likes, 2 comments, and 1 share. So much better engagement when we focus on relationships or people, not houses or the real estate market, because ultimately that type of content, the majority of consumers don't care about right now because they're not in the market to buy or sell right now. So your end goal in mind is people, not homes. You need to be super strategic about what you post. And the way that I always say, the bottom thing, the rule of awe. So don't post just to post. Don't share it if it doesn't incite some sort of emotion. These are social media platforms. People don't necessarily go on here to do research. They're not looking necessarily to find the perfect real estate agent. Sometimes they are. But if your content doesn't incite emotion, it really doesn't fit in with the social media strategies of how they do their algorithms. So I always say, if it doesn't make them say, either like cute, like, or funny, like, that's awesome, or awe-inspiring, shocking, or it makes them angry. If it doesn't incite some sort of emotion, you're ultimately probably not going to get the engagement that you want on that post. They're just going to scroll through it like every other vanilla post out there. So always think about the rule of awe when you're posting, engage or incite some emotion. You need to share relevant and varied content. We're going to talk about what types of content I encourage you to post. You need to adjust your settings on Facebook. You need to allow tags, meaning people to tag you in their posts. You need to encourage all of your clients to tag you in their posts. And you need to turn on activity broadcasts so people can see where you're at. That helps build that organic audience that I talked about, because if somebody is at Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall, maybe not right now, sadly, but if they were there and you posted and tagged Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall, you are going to show up in their wall potentially, and they don't even have to be friends with you because you were at the same place. So oftentimes Facebook helps, connect people organically in that way. The next thing is on Facebook, it really helps to create friend lists in Facebook. And this is different than a friend group, so be cautious of that. A group is where you create a group, you title the group, and you invite people to join the group. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a list in Facebook. And what that is basically a way for you to categorize your own friends. And why is this important? You can create a list of real estate prospects. And before you're doing your database calls, you can spend 5 minutes, you click on the list, and all you see in that wall, that news feed, is those people's posts. And then when you're calling, you can bring up their son's softball game and their daughter who got engaged or whatever, rather than having to scroll through your 1,000 followers that you have to find that information. So creating friend lists can be a super effective way to manage your time on Facebook. Other ways to really pull organic audience and get more traffic and ultimately leads. Viral sharing, everyone knows about this. So if you have a public page and somebody likes, comments, or shares your posts, their friends will see that they like that post and ultimately could create a bigger audience for that post for you. Socializing on high traffic walls is a great way to build organic following. You can leverage different audiences of other groups that you join for free if you're posting great content there. You can pull traffic from Craigslist by posting ads in in Craigslist and linking them to your Facebook landing page. You can do targeted ads through Facebook to send a very specific message to a specific type of client that you're wanting. Now, Facebook got slapped with an insane lawsuit relating to this. So their advertising guidelines have changed dramatically, and now the targeting features are like insanely more limited than they were before. You can only advertise within a zip code radius now, whereas before you could do like a half-mile radius of a specific property. But they, had fair housing lawsuits slapped at them for discrimination, so it was a big deal. But you still can do targeted ads. They still can be effective, but you just can't target your audience as much as you could before. And then promoted posts are like boosted posts. When you have a post that's performing well, when you boost it, you basically just pay for Facebook to show it to more people. What they do first is they show it to more of your friends. And if those people don't fit the algorithm, then they show it to your friends' friends. So it's great for branding. It's not necessarily great for leads. Facebook Live, we talked about this. The most awesome thing about Facebook Live is that it generates engagement data in real time. So you can see as you're live, who's liking, watching, commenting. You can talk to people that are responding kind of like you can with Zoom with the chat feature, but it really allows more engagement. As you've seen, probably people get notified when their friends are watching a live video. It's the whole like fear of missing out thing, right? So if I log onto Facebook and 23 of my friends are watching this live video, I'm pretty likely to check it out as well. So that's a way for organic followers to find you. And social video, as we've seen, is definitely the way to go as far as engagement. It generates 1,200% more shares than posts with images or text. And people spend 3 times as long watching live videos as they do regular ones. So definitely, if you have something important to say, mix a live video in once a week or once a month, not all the time, because people will think that it's not, important. But mix those in when you have something great to say, and you will get much more engagement and ultimately longer watch times too. Best practices with live. A lot of agents are like, I really don't know how to go live. I'm so nervous about it. I always recommend testing out live with the only me privacy setting to get comfortable. So what it allows you to do is it allows you to go live and record yourself, but the only person in the drop down that you're letting see it is the only me. That's your audience that you've selected. And that allows you to then go back and rewatch it and see how it looked. But before, you do it the first time, get your jitters out, do it only me first. Write an attention-catching description for the video, tag friends when you go live, pick a location, or add an activity or feeling like Facebook allows you to do. Set up your camera view ahead of time. Be conscious of what is behind you. Also be conscious of how you hold your phone or your device. Don't have it below you where people are looking up at your chin, and don't have it so high above you that, it looks silly. So make sure you have a great camera view. If Facebook enables you to add lenses, filters, writing, or drawing, lenses or filters can be good as long as you're not overly filtering. People ultimately don't like that type of content for videos as much. It looks super fake. Interact with or shout out viewers or commenters. So as you're going live and you see that people are joining your live video, say, oh, hey Jan, good to see you. Hey Bob, thanks for joining on. What questions do you have today? So call people out. That'll encourage them to stay longer and interact with them throughout the live. And then after you're done, Facebook gives you the option to post your video so that it's not just a live video, but it's actually a post that stays on your wall, whereas a live video would disappear. So post it after you finish filming if you like it. If you don't, that's the great thing about live, is that it'll be up for a couple days and then it'll go away. All right, set a goal before you go live. Again, don't just go live to go live. Have a goal. You're either looking for a number of views, a certain number of engagement, either reactions or comments, click-throughs on your call to action, or actions taken based upon your video. So whatever your call to action at the end is, if it's send me a DM for questions on this property, or if it's, email me at whatever your action that you give them as your call to action, that's how you can measure with the results based upon that. different ideas there. You can do behind the scenes of events or behind the scenes prepping a listing. You can do event or conference go lives. Those are really good. I've seen great ones at concerts actually, where people go live that are really cool. Interviews or Q&As are really great with local business owners. That's an awesome time to go live. If you're in an awesome coffee shop and you get to meet the owner, go live and introduce the owner and say, this is my favorite little coffee shop. I always get the caramel macchiato, and you get to see this great view of McCormick Ranch, whatever it is. But that oftentimes, if you tag the business, will gain organic followers tremendously based upon the people that follow the business. So that's a great time to go live. Podcasts or contests are another time to go live. And then if you want to do more of a formal live interview, a great tool is called Be Live, where it's similar to how Zoom is, where two people can be side by side on the screen talking to each other, interview style, but you can go live that way. So those are some strategies about Facebook Live. On Facebook and on Instagram, just any social media in general, I'm going to talk about some, must-dos right now. These must-dos, I feel like, again, if you're not doing it this way, you're probably wasting a lot of time on social media. And the number one thing I always say to agents is be authentic and personal. And remember, personal and private are different. So it's great to share a little bit about who you are as a person, not necessarily your private life if you are advertising your business. But the best way to do that is to talk to them as if you're talking to them in person. And I know this sounds silly, but it really works because it gives people a great idea of who you are and what it would be like when they have a buyer consultation with you. And agents overthink this all the time. They want to sound perfect. They want to have it be written super well. And those posts generally don't perform as well as ones who are really, authentic. Here's an example. This is a 30 under 30 agent in the Valley, Kelly Henderson. She wrote, Phoenix peeps want to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 this weekend, for free. Momentum Real Estate has a private screening at 3 p.m. and we've got about 20 extra seats. PM me if you want to come. I'll get you the deets and your name on the list. Come one, come all, or as max capacity as per the fire marshal. So when I read that, I hear her voice in my head. I know her. So but that's what you want in your posts. You want people to read it and get a very authentic idea of who you are and how you communicate. So make sure you are conveying the real you when you're posting. Next one is communicate your why in your real estate posts. People don't want to hear, I just sold another house. Awesome. $500,000 house sold. That really doesn't do a lot for people these days. So it needs to be about the why, the story of why you're doing it, who you're helping. So find a way to communicate that through social media. These are two great examples. Steve Panate always does an awesome job of this, as do the Lugos. And they really tell the story of why they're in real estate and how they help people. So you can read through those quickly, but here, this work is meaningful to us and a work we take pride in. Our clients come first. We love helping our new friends, old friends, and family buy and sell their homes. It's really authentic. We love the idea that we can help make our community beautiful one home at a time. And Steve said something about, every transaction is so unique because every family is so unique. What an opportunity I've had to meet and build incredible relationships with so many people. A home is the most intimate person in a place in a person's life, which is why I don't take helping people buy theirs lightly. Always humbling. What an honor to be able to serve. Life is about people. Real estate is about people. #grateful. So that is an entirely different message, a really authentic and humble and awesome message versus I just closed awesome $500,000 house, right? It's salesy versus real. So always strive to be real and to make it about people and your why when you talk in your posts. Share community involvement. These type of posts are awesome. They really work for building kind of a community brand for real estate. Show how you are involved in the community. People love that kind of content. Celebrate closings. So make it about your clients. Again, it's not about you selling a house. It's about your clients who got a house, right? And make it a fun story. Tell a little bit of information or facts about them. Make it visually appealing. highlight them in your post, and they ultimately will share it or tag you or thank you on social as well. And that's a great testimonial. So here's 3 examples of that. And again, the captions are really awesome again. So they made it about the client. So the one on the left from the Lugos, now here's a great start to the holiday. Peter just closed on his first home today. Yay, Peter. We're so excited for this guy and his cute puppy dog, and so very grateful to have been able to help him find his perfect Tempe home. So is there anything in there about them? No, it's about Peter that they helped. And that is a much more palatable story for consumers that we connect with, right? Helping people in the whole storytelling of real estate. Now, 2 other examples are there. Contests are a really, really, really great way to expand your reach. And I've seen this really well with some people here locally. I know Molly Rundle did one where she gave away a $500 Target gift card, and she had like 2,000, people enter her contest or something crazy. Here's another one though that was really good. So this guy, all he gave away was a $25 gift card. And what he said was, like this post and guess the price of this new listing that's about to hit the market. He got 67 likes and 104 comments. And with that, with the comments, what are those? Those are opportunities for a conversation, right? So then you send a direct message to every single one of those comments. No, I'm sorry, the price is actually this, but great guess. If you have any other questions about the real estate market or would like to see other properties in that price point, I'd be happy to help you. So that's where, again, it's not about how many comments you get, it's what you do with the comments and the engagement that you can build from them, the conversations that you can have. So, and then a lot of people said, oh, well, that wouldn't work a second time. He did it again a week later, and he got 55 likes, 106 comments, and 1 share. So for $25, I would pay $25 for 106 real estate conversations, right, with potential buyers or sellers. That seems like a very cheap lead, in my opinion. So contests work really well for that. Agents that I've seen do it locally, they post the house and either guess the price, guess the address, guess the neighborhood. They show specific features on the inside of the house and guess, the builder, things like that. Again, this explains how he did it. I'll send you guys that in your slides. And again, it's about the engagement after the comments. So every single person, he sent a message there after the fact. The last platform I'm going to talk about is LinkedIn, and I'm rushing here because I know I'm getting a little over time. So thanks for hanging with me. But the number 3 platform that I believe in right now for real estate is LinkedIn, and it's because it's back. So data, compiled found that 5,000 more companies found that LinkedIn produced 277% more leads than Facebook and Twitter. And these weren't necessarily real estate, right? These are just general companies across all industries. But why is that? Because again, LinkedIn is more of a business related platform. So I can see how people would go on to research specific companies or businesses more on LinkedIn than they would on Facebook and Twitter. But what's happening is, the demographic of LinkedIn users is really interesting. And this is where it gets good if you want to use it for real estate. So LinkedIn currently has over 610 million members. If you remember, Facebook has in the billion number, so a lot less users. And of those, 303 million of the 610 are active monthly. So the usage amount is less than the other social platforms, but 40% of the 303 million visit the site daily. Those are probably the people looking for a career change like we talked about. But here's where it gets good. So 90 million senior level influencers and 63 million company decision makers use LinkedIn. So the demographic of LinkedIn oftentimes is a little bit more, high net worth client, higher income bracket, higher job type. So this is where sometimes you can connect with some really great referral sources and or buyers or sellers. Now, 92% of Fortune 500 companies use LinkedIn. This is where I want to highlight here at the bottom. Only 3 million LinkedIn users share content every week. That's what I want to highlight. So of the, 140 million people that visit the site daily, only 3 million people are sharing content. That is very different than Facebook and Instagram. So what does that tell you? Your content has a lot greater chance of being seen to a new organic person who you don't know on LinkedIn than it does on Facebook or Instagram. So this is why it can be a great option to use it for real estate. And LinkedIn is responsible for 80% of business-to-business leads from social media. So this is where it'd be really great to connect with other business professionals, CPAs, doctors, dentists, attorneys, hairstylists, people who could refer you, and you can refer them. LinkedIn is an amazing platform for that. So you have to have a great profile. It can't be #1 real estate agent in Maricopa County, blah, blah, blah. That's not what people want to see. It has to be something catchy, creative, authentic. So hers, this one I loved. She wrote, "The happiest person in real estate" is her title. And she talked about her passion for her community that she lives in. That is a lot better to read, right, than your stats or how many homes you sell or whatever. So make it a little more personal about you in an effort to connect with people who care about your community or the same type of things that you care about. Tips to generate leads. Make your company page stand out from other agents. Customize your banner image. Create or join groups. I'm going to send you guys these, so I'm not going to go through every single one. Automate. Oh, I guess, yeah. So yeah, the posts here, different ways to generate leads. You guys, another great thing, you can read through these, but another great thing that LinkedIn offers is the analytics, similar to the Instagram business profiles. It allows you to see your analytics of your posts, so you know what is and is not working as far as what you're posting. So that's a great option for LinkedIn. Somebody asked about this earlier, automating your posts. So I do believe that automating posts is a good idea, or at least planning out your content calendar, your social media calendar in advance. Some of the best like auto posting systems. Now this is different, I think, than what I talked about earlier. So what somebody asked earlier is to have a company actually create the post for you and post it for you. Those I do not recommend. Facebook and Instagram, all the social platforms know that those are not authentic content that you're creating. Those I discourage. However, creating your own content and then just having a company post it for you at the time that you say isn't so bad. It's not as good as posting it yourself organically on that day, but in an effort to save time and be really efficient, it can be awesome. So if you create a social media schedule, create and plan your content for your posts over the next, month or whatever, and then really don't want to manage it daily, you can schedule it to be posted ahead of time through a system like Hootsuite or Buffer. Now, both of those, as I said, you create your own content, you go in there, you tell it when you want it to be posted, and it will do it for you. Your engagement will be a little bit less than if you post it organically, but again, the time and efficiency that it saves of having to actually think about doing it might be worth it. So those are 2 systems to check out if you would want that off your plate. Social media best practices, always have a queue on hand. And the best agents on social media that I know of have this. They have a whole folder in their photos of things to post at a later date, right? So it's just like a library of photos that they can use to post later whenever they need something. That's a really great idea to have content readily available. That way you're not just having to think of whatever new at the last minute. The other thing that I hugely recommend, and I have a great resource for this that I'll send you guys, is to create a social media content calendar. Plan your entire month of posts out in advance. Spend, an hour doing that at the beginning of the month rather than 20 minutes every day overthinking your posts, right? So, and with that, when you're creating a content calendar, what I would encourage is that you need to vary the types of content. And what I encourage you to do is to have about 5 buckets of content that you rotate through that all are authentic and relevant to you. So for me, it's things like, family, work, hiking, or, adventure, travel, food, maybe mine or whatever they are. But for you, you should have things that are authentic to you, that you're interested in, and you should rotate your content. So for me, if I were going to have, or for you, if you have 5 buckets of content that you rotate through and you're going to post 5 times a week, you post 1 of each of those types of content every week. And the next week you post 1. So when you're planning out your month of content, you're coming up with, 4 real estate posts, 4 family posts, 4 workout posts, 4 faith posts, whatever, your buckets of content are. It's a lot easier when you look at it that way, rather than thinking of, geez, I don't know what to post today. So I have some great resources I can send you guys on helping to create a social media content calendar. And then the number 3 one is reuse great content. So, most of your followers won't see the majority of your posts. Facebook is an average of 10% of your followers will see any of your posts at a given time, unless your post performs really well, and then Facebook will show it to more people. But that's why you'll see, you have 1,000 followers and you may get 100 likes on a photo. It's not because people don't like your content, it's because they don't see it. So if you had a post that was good, repeat the post, change either the photo or a little bit of the copy in the content, a little bit, but post it again 2 weeks later. And the likelihood is that most of the people won't have seen it before, but that's a way to not have to come up with so much new content, but reuse stuff that's worked really well in the past. All right, I know I'm racing, sorry, but I want to get through this. And so the next thing now we're going to talk about is video. And if you are not already using video in your real estate business, you need to get on it. It is the number 1 performing type of marketing across all platforms right now. And there's all sorts of stats about why video here. I'm not going to read all of them, but it is staggering when you read through it. But most importantly for real estate, it's because buyers and sellers want you to use video. Buyers use video number 1 is to find out more about a specific community. So this is where you could do a community video. You could say, here's the local shopping center, here's the grocery store, here's your local park, here's your elementary school, here's some of the businesses that I love in this area, here's what it would be like to live in X community. That's an awesome video that you could create. The number 2 thing that buyers want to see is a tour of the inside of a home. So all of your listings should have a video tour, enabling buyers to see what the flow is really like, especially now during times of social distancing. You should use video to showcase houses all the time. Number 3 is to obtain general information about the home buying process. Number 4 was to compare features across companies. Number 5, understand specific property features. So that's what buyers want in video. And then this one was pretty staggering. 73% of homeowners say they're more likely to list with a realtor who offers to create a video for them. So sellers want video too. And real estate listings that include a video receive 400% more inquiries than those without. So you have to have videos for your listings. You have to offer video for your sellers. That's what they want. And if you include that in your listing presentation, you're much more likely to get the listing. Now with video, you have to keep in mind, you need to have different messages for different platforms. This chart I love because depending on where you're posting your content, you have to understand and think about what is my audience doing on that platform. For example, social media. What are people doing on social media? They're exploring, they're filling time, right? A lot of people do it almost like they're addicted and without even knowing sometimes. They grab their phone and they start scrolling. So when you're posting video on social media, the types of videos should be discovery or engagement. So discovering a community, discovering a new, business, discovering about you, videos to build engagement with your community. If you're posting your videos on like Google, YouTube, or your website in your blog or your resource section, what is your audience doing there? They're looking for help or information. If they go to Google, they're looking for something. If they go to your blog on your website, they're looking for something. So the types of video you should put there are content marketing videos. Those videos are meant to educate people or to entertain people. And then lastly, if you're going to put videos on your standard real estate website, your about website, that's what are they doing there? They're considering your offer. They're checking you out as a real estate agent, trying to decide if they should use you. So those videos should be conversion videos, telling a story, building trust. It should be about you as an agent, how you can help them, and who you really are and why you're the best agent for them to work with. Different things about what to post. User-generated content performs best always across all platforms. So that's your content that you create organically, post personal stuff, generally performs best. Other than that, you can post blog posts and articles about the housing industry, home design and decor, lending, whatever it is. Event info and pictures always do really well. Relevant industry news, posts from your local community or community info like we discussed earlier. Day in the life of your business as an agent. A lot of times those posts are very humorous, especially if you find interesting things in listings. Trending topics, you can post about that. You can post behind the scenes content of, if you're at a concert like we talked about, you can ask questions always in posts to encourage engagement. What do you think about this backsplash? Or do you like this color or this color better? You can post inspirational quotes. You can do social contests and giveaways, as we mentioned. You can use polls in your Instagram stories. That's in a really great way. And then you can obviously post seasonal or holiday content. Those get great engagement as well. And that is really it. So I know I went a little bit over, so thank you for sticking with me. I'll open it up to questions in just a minute, but I really hope that this was helpful and gave you guys a great idea of, all the changes with social media that have happened through COVID-19, and then really how to create an effective social media strategy going forward to build your real estate business. So I hope that it was effective. I'm VIP Mortgage. So if you don't have a lender that you work with that you love, that helps you shine, we'd love for you to send your buyers to us to give us a shot. And I teach classes like this every week. So if you want to find out more, just email me and I'll send you the rest of the days. But thank you so much for joining. I will open it up to questions now. Thanks.